Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. So, we're finally getting some new movies in the theaters this week, and we're finally getting New Mutants. Now, for those who don't know, this film is a spin-off of the X-Men movies and was supposed to be in theaters about 2.5 years ago. It got postponed when the whole Disney-Fox merger was being negotiated. The film was rescheduled for this past spring, but then got postponed again due to the pandemic. Now we're finally getting it. But was it worth the wait? So, not really. Simply put, it's not a bad film, but it's not impressive in any way. Now let's get into it. So, for those who aren't familiar, The New Mutants is or rather, it was a spin-off comic that was first published in the early 80s. Uh, Professor X gathers a new group of mutants to train because at the time he thought the X-Men were dead, so he formed a new team. Now, this film takes a different approach to the team coming together. The film actually begins with a young Native American girl. This is her here, Danielle Moonstar. And she's a young Native American whose reservation is destroyed and her father is killed by what she is told was a tornado. But Danny thinks that it was actually the Demon Bear, which is this character in a story that her father told her about when she was a kid, and that she's always been afraid of. Now, she wakes up in a medical facility run by a woman named Dr. Reyes, who tells her that she's a mutant and she's been brought into the facility so that Dr. Reyes can help her control her powers. We soon meet the other mutants in the prison, which include Rain Sinclair. Let's see, where is it? Let's go back a bit. There, that's her there. Rain Sinclair, who is a young Scottish girl who can turn into a wolf. And then there is Sam Guthrie, who is, and this is him here. He's a southern kid who can launch himself through the air like a rocket. And then there's Roberto da Costa, a kid from Brazil who has super strength. And Ileana Rasputin, who is the blonde girl you see in a lot of these film clips, who she is actually in the comics. She is Colossus's sister, but that's never really brought up here. In the comics, her mutant power is the ability to teleport, and she also has a mystic sword and some mystic abilities. Now, those who know the source material will notice if you watch this that there are some significant changes in the characters, particularly in Danielle and Ileana. In the comics, Danielle's a very headstrong young woman, while Ileana is more of a sweet-natured person. Now, in the film, their personas are both they're almost kind of flipped. Danny is more passive and kind of vulnerable, while Ileana is more kind of aggressive and arrogant. Now, once Danielle comes to this place, strange events start to happen, with the other mutants starting to be confronted by figures from their past and by their worst fears. Now, eventually, Dr. Reyes realizes that Danny's mutant power is the ability to tap into the fears of other people and bring them to life. We also learn that she works for the Essex Corporation, a company that wants to control and exploit young mutants. And eventually they order Dr. Reyes to kill Danny, believing that her power is just too dangerous to be controlled. Now, when she tries to kill Danny, the demon bear appears and then kills her. And then it turns on the other mutants and they have to band together to defeat the demon bear. Now, the cast is okay. They're decent in their roles. The most familiar face for most people is going to be Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones, who plays Rain Sinclair, the Scottish girl. She does a good job of capturing Rain's vulnerability, but I thought they could have done more to play up her fears and anxieties about her powers. Danielle herself, and of course that's Maisie Williams here as Rain. And then this is Blue Hunt playing Danielle. And she's kind of the weak link in the cast to me. She's not bad, but she's kind of dull. And as I said before, Danny's character in the original New Mutants comics back in the 80s, she was very arrogant, very impulsive. And while her character is made more vulnerable here, she's also kind of lacking Danny's confidence. Now, the character of Sam Guthrie, which is played by Charlie Heaton, he does fine with the role. He might be the one who's actually kind of closest to his comic book version. And then Henry Zaga plays Roberto da Costa, who is an arrogant rich kid who accidentally killed his girlfriend, and he's kind of fine. Anya Taylor-Joy plays Ileana Rasputin, who in the comics is actually the sister of Colossus, but there's no mention of that here. Her mutant power is teleportation, and she also has mystic abilities as well, and you kind of see some of those. Where is this at? Here we go. Yeah, now she's not much is really given about her background in the movies, but she's good in the role, although it feels a little too much like she's playing the stereotypical mean girl sometimes. The cast is rounded out by Alice Braga, who plays Dr. Reyes. She presents herself as a benevolent figure, but we eventually learn that she's just helping the Essex Corporation exploit these young people. Now, the film is it's clearly low budget. There's basically only 6 people in the cast, and it all takes place in this one location. And the effects we see are okay. We don't really see much of them though until the very tail end of the movie, the closing act. Uh, as far as it being woke, it's not really that woke. I mean, there are some woke elements, mainly in that in the movie, Danielle and Rain have kind of a lesbian love affair, a lesbian relationship. Um, it's not really a big part of the movie. It's basically just one scene where they kiss, and that's it. It kind of feels very tacked on, in my opinion. And they are not lesbians in the comic books. But really, the main issue I have with the film is how Dr. Reyes is able to keep these kids locked up in this place, not let them leave or have any contact with the outside world. And somehow she's allowed to do this. I mean, not even they can't even have phone calls with their family, which seems a bit ridiculous, especially for Roberto, whose family is pretty wealthy, and I doubt they would put up with this, of him being treated this way. Overall, the plot is pretty simplistic, but the horror movie, or rather the movie, takes a novel approach to superheroes, presenting it more as kind of a horror film. It's an interesting idea, and it works fairly well. The thing is that it's a bit of a mashup of horror, superheroes, and I guess the young adult genre. And while it's not bad, it doesn't really do a great job with any of these different elements. There aren't enough scares to make it a good horror film, and there's not that much superhero stuff either. It results in a film that's mildly entertaining, but not memorable at all. When you add in that this is the last gasp of the defunct Fox Studios X-Men franchise, you end up with a film that you can probably just skip. If you do see it, make sure that you catch a matinee showing. Don't pay full price for this. So, have you seen this film yet? If so, do you agree or do you disagree with my review? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.